Welcome back to the DraftKings Life podcast. I'm Rebecca, a recruitment marketing lead. And today we're talking with two very talented recruiters to help you land a job here at DraftKings. Before we get into that, though, I want to learn a little bit more about you guys. So if you could introduce yourself to everybody.
I'm Lexi. I'm a talent acquisition associate here. I started over on the Vegas team, transferred to the Boston team, which is where I'm from, and loving it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm Anna. I'm a talent acquisition specialist. I've been with DraftKings for just over a year and a half or so at this point. I work primarily on marketing, analytics, VIP hiring, and yeah, it's been a great experience so far.
Awesome. And then, Lexi, what roles do you hire for predominantly?
Pretty much the same thing as Anna, except minus the analytics. So I'm doing a lot of revenue operations, sportsbook operations, marketing, stuff like that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So you guys have seen hundreds of applications.
Oh, yeah.
You've combed through so many resumes and done hundreds of rounds of interviews. So you both are the experts. So I'm very excited to dive deep into the advice you have for our candidates. So let's start with resumes. Everybody has one. What are some of the things people should be thinking about when they're crafting their resumes?
I would say definitely tailor your resume to the role that you're applying for. It's good to have a generic resume to go off of, but pay attention to the criteria in the job description. Pay attention to what your resume has to say about you and how you can fit in with the criteria that they're looking for.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Lexi, and I think following off of that is also focus on impact, not just the responsibilities of what you're doing on a day-to-day, really what you've brought to the table, projects you've owned, things you've made go faster, all good stuff like that is really going to make you stand out.
Awesome. And even with the structure of the resume, how do you think people should really put their experience on there and how should they lay it out?
That's a good question. I like to prioritize my bullets or tell candidates to prioritize their bullets based on what they want to show off first. For example, if you're looking at a marketing resume and the job posting is about social media, then you really want to show off all the different social media criteria that you've done over maybe some of the other more generic day-to-day tasks, because that's what the job is looking for. So you want to kind of show off what you've done at the top.
Awesome.
Yep. I think in addition to that, really focusing on clarity. This is not a life memoir. This is really focusing on your highlight reel of what you've done, what you've accomplished, and really showcasing how that ties in to the job that you're applying for. And pulling in some of those themes, I think, is really going to tie it all together.
I think that's a great point, too, because it's it doesn't have to be multiple pages.
No.
It can be one clear, concise page of what you've done, the impact you've made, and just how it will help you talk about your experiences in the interviews, too.
Yeah. And I think being really intentional with what you're saying as well, I think really makes someone stand out.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Now let's move on to the interview phase 2. What's one way a candidate can immediately make a great impression?
I love when they do the research. You don't have to know everything about our company. We give you our whole spiel anyway, but it's nice to know that they've looked into some values that we look for here, or if you're going after a specific role, maybe you've done your research on myself or the hiring manager, that you can ask really tailored and thoughtful questions about the role. That really shows that you care.
I think what really makes a difference is the enthusiasm around DraftKings. You don't have to be a DraftKings user. You don't have to be this insane sports fan to be able to work here. I think it's really then talking about your interest in our culture, in our growth, in our newer initiatives. And I think bringing that to the table also showcases your research as well. And then also just your overall excitement for the company.
Awesome. And speaking about research, too, how much research should they be doing? Is there anything they really should be looking for, or anything you're looking for with what their knowledge base is?
It depends on what stage in the interview process, I would say. Initially, you don't have to come with a ton of research. Just do your general, who are we? What do we do? What are our product lines? And then if you're a little confused about it, if you're not an active sports bettor, you can ask about that stuff. And then as your interview stages progress, that's when you can get a little bit more in the weeds of it.
Yeah, I would say, this is obviously a great place to start. I think the DK Life podcast is something I point all my candidates in the direction of, just to get a better sense of our culture and our growth.
when candidates are thinking about those questions to ask recruiters, ask the hiring managers, ask other people farther down into the process, like what kind of questions should candidates be really focused on asking?
I think the questions that they're genuinely wondering, right? Like, there's more about the role than just the day-to-day. Like, they'll probably want to know about the team structure. They'll want to know who they're reporting to, what the team looks like in terms of who they're going to be working really collaboratively with, cross-functionally. So, like, ask the questions that you're wondering so you can come in to the role on your day one knowing what you're getting into.
Interviewing is a two-way street. Like, we're trying to see if this is a mutual fit and do that due diligence on our end because we want someone who's, going to grow into that position. But it's also on your end. Like, is this going to be the right fit for you? Is this the right culture? Is this the right reporting structure? So I think asking questions that get those answers around growth and, answers the questions in your mind of, like, what you're looking for is really what's important at the end of the day. But also just coming with thoughtful questions around the position definitely stands out and is good feedback from hiring managers.
Yeah.
And interviews can be so intimidating sometimes.
Yeah.
You really want this job. You want to show up for your best. But what would you say confident candidates do differently?
Ooh, that's a good question. They come prepared, but they're not afraid to not know something. Like, you don't have to know everything. We're not looking for you to be an expert. Like, you can learn and grow in your role. So it's okay to be like, you know what, I actually have never worked on that before. Or, that's not something that I've experienced in my role so far, so I'd love to learn a little bit more about it. Like, that's okay. So being confident in the skill sets and experience that you do have is, shows that you're confident and can make it in the role.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. We're not looking for perfect. We're not looking for these like right answers that are a key to getting the position. It's really about bringing that enthusiasm, bringing that excitement for DraftKings, and just thinking about your experience in a thoughtful manner that you feel like can make an impact here at the company.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. And even with analytics too, Anna, for analysts too coming in, are there any particular ways candidates can stand out, or what are some things that you're really looking for?
Yeah, that's a great call out. I think obviously there's the hard skills that we kind of need to see from a candidate in order to, get excited to move them forward in terms of SQL experience, Tableau, all the fun tech stack situations. But I think it goes beyond that. I think it ties back to what I said earlier, is showing the impact that you made. We really want to see how you brought, X to Y, Y to Z, whatever it might be. And then that stakeholder management, I think, is a really huge one. Like, analytics is a really core function here at DraftKings. It really ties into all of our business practices. And so I think being able to speak to our stakeholders and really provide and be a partner around those like recommendations and insights really pushes the business forward. So I think both on your resume, calling that out if you can, and then in those interviews, not only thinking like, this is what I did, I was heads down with my, reporting in SQL, which is still very important, but, where did that lead us? Where did that take us next?
What's one of the most memorable interviews that you've had, that you've been a part of? Like, what made the candidate really stand out?
Ooh, that's a really great question, too. I would say to come in and, it's not, even though it can be scary, it's not a grill session. Like, just have fun with it. Like, you can show your authenticity, you can show your personality. And a lot of the times that's what me and the hiring managers are looking for. Like, we want to see how you would jive with the overall culture of the team. So there was a time where me and this girl, we hit it off. We ended up chatting for a lot longer than was allotted for, but I really got to know her and got to know what she was looking for at a personal level. So, just be yourself.
I think I would echo that. I think really being yourself and just any candidate where it feels like a two-way conversation and it feels natural.
Yeah.
That's what usually sticks with me. I think it's really important to like make that connection because, if this position that we're talking about right now isn't that perfect fit, like we'd love to keep that open line of communication to then in the future, find that opportunity that really matches what you're looking for in that future growth and in a position. And I think there's just a lot of future potential there.
Yeah, and piggybacking off of that, like we as a recruiting team, we're always chit-chatting about candidates. So even if you're not a role for one of ours, like I could pass your resume off to Anna and say, hey, this person wasn't a great fit for this opportunity, but could be for one of yours. So take a peek. So it's always good to make the connection anyway.
Because we always look with a candidate too at those like DraftKings behaviors. We always look for those values and how they align with ours. So obviously like the qualifications for the role are important, but if we see you bringing those characteristics to our conversations, then that can easily be transferred over to another one of our positions. So I think when we think of candidate experience, we think long term.
For candidates too coming in and needing to take like an assessment test or like a case study, kind of how can they get ready for that? What are some like key advice you would give for them?
Take your time with it. You're walking through, most of the time with case studies, you're walking through your problem solving skills. So if you don't get something correct, we're not always looking for you to have the right answer. We're looking to see how you got there. That's one of the key factors. So it's okay. Take your time, breathe, and just be able to reiterate how you got the answer that you got and maybe work through it if you did get it incorrectly. Like, that's really what we're looking for here.
I always advise my candidates that it's a collaborative discussion. We're trying to, again, find your thought process. So by bouncing off ideas from, the interviewer, you might get back on track with where you were going to go. So I think just using them as a resource throughout.
And then what's your overall advice for any candidates coming in, anyone that's applying for a role here? What would you say is your overall advice?
Well, it kind of is similar to the last question, right? Like, do your best. It's okay if you don't know every answer to every question. It's okay if you don't meet every single, checkbox that we're looking for in terms of job description criteria, because the connection is probably one of the more important things in any interview process, no matter what the stage is. Like, so just try your best. There's a role out there for you, whether it's this one that you're interviewing for or one down the road.
So I think just bringing that energy, bringing that enthusiasm, doing your research, and kind of controlling what you can control will set you up for success, whether that's a career here at DraftKings or elsewhere.
Amazing. Great episode, ladies. Thank you so much for joining the podcast. That was exciting. And thank you for listening. Make sure to follow us on social media at DraftKings Life, except for LinkedIn, where we're simply DraftKings. You can find this podcast on all major podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, Google. We got you.